Mikhail and Maria had been friends since school and got married in their third year of college. It was out of love, not convenience or any other reason, despite the gossip from neighbors and classmates who stubbornly sought proof for their suspicions. They found none, as she was as slender as a birch and as graceful as a deer. Mikhail was already earning money working as an IT specialist, so they decided to rent an apartment as soon as they applied for a marriage license, even though both had inherited homes waiting for them in the future. They were the only children in their families, each with beloved grandmothers who were not too old and relatively healthy. However, life is unpredictable. Suddenly and unexpectedly, Mikhail's grandmother passed away, leaving him a two-room apartment in a beautiful part of the city, as a gift to her only and cherished grandson. The relatives gave her a proper farewell, observing all the customs and mourning periods as required. But life goes on, and so it did for Mikhail and Maria. They decided to turn the inherited apartment into a real cozy marital home with a future in mind, including children and pets. But for now, it was all about love, travel, and enjoying life, which is what youth is for. While the apartment was being renovated, they decided to rent a place, as planned. However, Mikhail's mother, Mrs. Natalia, intervened. "Rent an apartment? I won't allow it," she said, wagging her plump finger humorously at Mikhail. "We have a three-room palace and only one son. Now we have a daughter-in-law too," she said generously, glancing at Maria. "Your father and I will stay in the other two rooms, and my kids." She emphasized the word, looking significantly at Maria again. "My kids will sleep in strange beds? No way. Move in with us, and that's final," she concluded. So they moved in, hoping the renovation would be quick, though Maria was not pleased. She didn't like this overly made-up, loud, and self-assured woman, but decided to endure it since she was her husband's mother. They lived with Mikhail's parents for almost 4 months while their apartment was being renovated. To her credit, Mrs. Natalia hardly bothered them, and they rarely saw her. Mikhail's father, Mr. Vitaly, held a managerial position and worked from dawn till dusk, often traveling for business. Mrs. Natalia spent her time at home, focusing on herself, with a cleaning lady coming in and meals delivered. She passed her time watching TV shows and going to beauty salons and massage parlors. Therefore, she had little to do with them, except to offer her very valuable opinions, even if unsolicited. Finally, the apartment was ready, and the most enjoyable part began, choosing furniture and household items that make a home cozy, not just a storage space. "I want a huge leather sofa and a fireplace," Maria exclaimed joyfully while flipping through a design magazine. "The cat will scratch the leather sofa, and a fireplace isn't practical or fashionable in an apartment," Mrs. Natalia commented. "But we don't have a cat," Maria replied, confused. "You will. All newlyweds get a cat after the wedding. It's a warm-up before having kids," Mrs. Natalia declared authoritatively. "And we don't want kids just yet," Maria tried to assert her independence. "They sometimes appear without asking." "And it will be the same for you," Mrs. Natalia smiled triumphantly. What could Maria say to that? Then Maria bought a coffee set, not a cheap, rough one from the supermarket, but a genuine English set made of the finest porcelain. A tall coffee pot with an elegant curved spout and delicate white cups with saucers. Drinking coffee from them was a true pleasure. The cups seemed to sing, carrying the noble beverage, and the coffee pot chimed melodiously, its spout ringing against the edge. This pleasure was quite costly. The mother-in-law immediately judged the purchase. "Oh, what bourgeois nonsense," she sneered at the pristine beauty. "Modern lines are in vogue now. This is just passé," Mrs. Natalia scoffed, but it was evident she was impressed with the porcelain. Now, every time she visited, she requested a cup of coffee and enjoyed it from those very cups. Once, Maria jokingly offered her another set, but quickly brought out the porcelain one upon seeing her mother-in-law's sullen look. "What's going on, Mikhail?" Maria demanded one evening. "What, dear?" he replied. "Did she come over for coffee when we weren't home? Without permission? And how, may I ask, does she have a key?" Usually calm, Maria was livid, unable to comprehend what had happened. It defied all logic. "Maria, calm down, for God's sake. I don't understand it myself. Besides her, no one else could have done it. Unless Grandma dropped by for coffee," he tried to joke, but stopped upon seeing Maria's glare. "I'm sorry, honey, I just don't know what kind of person she is. I don't even remember giving her a key, I swear. Maybe she took it herself, who knows?" "You think that's normal, Mikhail? Could you imagine my mother doing that?" "I can't." "So, what now?" Maria was on the verge of tears. "Well, first we need to throw this out and clean up the coffee. Then we call Mom." "They called?" "Yes, I came over. I was running errands and decided to drop by. You weren't home, and I really wanted some coffee." My blood pressure dropped. I had the key, so I let myself in. Yes, I broke the coffee pot. So what? It slipped, it was heavy and wet. I told you, such bourgeois things are impractical and outdated. Are you going to hassle your mother over a piece of glass? Health is more important. My blood pressure dropped, and you're worried about a coffee pot? She ranted. Mama, don't you see how improper this is? Coming over without asking. Breaking the coffee pot, and then behaving like it's our fault, Mikhail tried to reason. Me? Apologize? Have you lost your mind? I'm your mother, and you're demanding apologies over a coffee pot? Really? She hung up. The next day, a locksmith came and changed the locks. Maria sighed and ordered a similar coffee pot. She wasn't going to abandon her dream because of a capricious mother-in-law. Life slowly returned to normal. The only dampener was Mrs. Natalia refusing to answer phone calls. She was evidently offended. But Mikhail assured Maria that she wouldn't stay mad for long. It affected her looks, and he was right. "What do you mean you changed the locks? So now, I can't even visit my own son? Over a stinking coffee pot? And you forget how you lived with me for 4 months. Enjoying everything? Shameless. I don't want to know you anymore," she cried and hung up. Mikhail was speechless. Firstly, from his mother's shameless lie about their freeloading, staying with her had cost more than renting an apartment. Many of her deliveries and whims had been fully paid for by him, and all those expenses were still in the bank records for verification. Secondly, from her audacity and belief that she'd done nothing wrong. So what if I visited my son while he and his wife were at work? So what if I made myself coffee in their kitchen and broke an expensive pot? We're family. Family.